All right, let's dive into a crazy scenario. We're going to break down the simulated military crisis set in 2026. And it all starts with just one jet getting shot down over Iran, which then spirals into this massive international operation. It's a collision of high-tech gear, battlefield tactics, and one absolutely unbreakable rule.
So this is the big question, right? How does one state-of-the-art fighter go down and set off this insane chain reaction? Because this isn't just about losing a plane. It's about how that single event can trigger a desperate fight for survival when your people are trapped deep behind enemy lines.
And this is why it all happens. This one simple, unwavering code. In the US military, this idea pretty much trumps everything else. It's a promise that no matter what it takes, no matter how risky it gets, they will do whatever it takes to bring everyone home. This single sentence, it's the engine that drives this entire story. Okay, so let's set the scene. Imagine it's April 3rd, 2026. You're high above the Zagros Mountains in Iran. A couple of F-15E Strike Eagles are on a really critical mission. They've got to take out this command bunker buried deep underground. So they're flying super low and super fast, trying to stay completely off the radar. To stay hidden, these pilots are literally hugging the terrain, using the deep valleys to fly underneath Iran's radar coverage. They're using a system called terrain following radar to do it automatically. But here's the catch, here's the gamble. To drop its massive bunker buster bomb, the jet has to pull up. And for just a few seconds, it pops up on enemy screens. And you better believe someone was down there, just waiting for that moment.
And just like that, a surface-to-air missile system gets a lock. 2 missiles scream off the rails. The pilot reacts instantly. He's dumping flares to confuse them, yanking the jet into these bone-crushing high-G turns. He manages to fool the first missile, but the second one is just too close. It doesn't even need a direct hit. Its proximity fuse makes it explode nearby, and the shrapnel shreds the plane's hydraulics. They're out of control. The crew has no choice but to punch out, ejecting into the dark mountains below.
The second those ejection seats fired, the whole mission changed. Forget the bunker. The Sandy Protocol, that's the combat search and rescue plan, kicked in immediately. But what started as a mission to rescue 2 people, quickly, and I mean quickly, spiraled into a cascade of new emergencies. You know, this timeline really shows you how fast a bad situation can just completely fall apart. At 2:15 in the morning, the F-15 is hit. Just half an hour later, A-10s are already on scene to provide cover. An hour after that, the specialized rescue helicopters are in the air, but by 4:45 a.m., less than 3 hours after this whole thing started, those rescue choppers are flying right into an ambush. Suddenly, the rescuers themselves need rescuing. And this is that cascade effect in action. It's like dominoes falling. First, the F-15E goes down. That's domino 1. Then, an A-10, a Warthog flying low to protect the crash site, gets nailed by a shoulder-fired missile. The pilot gets out, but now there are 3 people on the ground. Domino 2. Then, when the rescue helicopter, call sign Pedro 12, comes in, it gets ambushed and shot down. Domino 3. The situation has gone from bad to a complete catastrophe. So while all this chaos is exploding on the ground, another drama is unfolding in the sky. And this incident exposed a huge vulnerability in even our most advanced stealth aircraft. An F-35 that was flying cover also got hit, and how it got hit tells you a lot about the limits of stealth. And this just lays it out perfectly. See, an F-35 is basically a ghost to radar. Its shape, its coating, it's all designed to make radar waves just disappear. But you can't hide heat, and the F-35's engine is an absolute monster. It puts out this enormous plume of heat that, to a heat-seeking missile, is like a giant glowing shoot here sign. So how do they exploit this? With this technology, infrared search and track, or IRST. Now, unlike radar, it's not shouting into the dark and listening for an echo. It's totally passive. It's just looking for heat sources. This means it can find a stealth jet's engine heat and track it without the pilot ever knowing they're being watched. There's no warning alarm until the missile is already flying at you. So how on earth did the F-35 survive? Well, it essentially fought fire with fire. The jet has its own incredible infrared defense system, a 360-degree network of cameras that sees everything. It actually spotted the heat coming off the incoming missile's rocket motor. The pilot got an instant warning, yanked the jet into a hard turn, and pumped out flares. The missile still exploded close enough to cause damage, but it wasn't a kill shot. The pilot managed to limp back home.
Okay, now we need to zoom the camera way out. It is so important to understand that this frantic rescue mission wasn't happening in a vacuum. It was actually one small, chaotic part of a much bigger plan. A perfectly coordinated strike designed to shatter Iran's entire defense network in a single moment.
And the scale of this thing was just immense. We're talking 2 full US carrier strike groups, one in the Arabian Sea, the other in the Mediterranean. You've got Israeli jets in the air, cruise missiles being launched from submarines, stealth bombers flying in. This was a massive multi-front assault.
The secret sauce to all of this is an incredibly complex tactic called time on target.
It's basically a masterpiece of military choreography. Planners use some insane math to coordinate missiles from ships, bombs from jets, everything, so that even though they're launched at different times from all over the globe, they all hit their targets at the exact same second. The whole point is to create pure shock and chaos. And that's the result: total systemic shock. When every single one of their command centers, radar sites, and leadership bunkers gets hit in the very same instant, you're trying to collapse their ability to even understand what's happening, let alone fight back. You're pulling the plug on the entire system at once. Now, to make sure this shock worked, they set this brilliant trap. They first launched hundreds of these little decoys. To an Iranian radar operator, this would look like a biblical-scale invasion force of jets. So what do? They turn on all of their most powerful air defense systems to shoot them down, and in doing so, they light themselves up like a Christmas tree for the real stealth fighters that were sneaking in behind them. It's a classic bait and switch.
So, in the middle of this massive, perfectly executed strategic attack, what happened to the rescue mission? Well, the A-10 pilot was saved, the crew from the downed helicopter Pedro 12 was brought home. So, mission accomplished, right? Not exactly.
Because despite the success of the bigger operation, despite those other daring rescues, the two original airmen from the F-15E, the ones who started this whole mess, they were still on the ground, still missing in action. And that unwavering code had not yet been fulfilled.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. In an age of billion-dollar stealth jets and warfare that's choreographed down to the microsecond, this entire chain of events, the risks, the losses, the massive escalation, it was all driven by one simple, profoundly human commitment. And it really makes you wonder, what is the true cost of keeping a